Hey everybody, and welcome back to Blender. In this video we're going to talk quickly about unwrapping. Before I get started, a huge thank you for everyone subscribing and hitting that notification icon. That really helps me out. And of course an even bigger thank you to my members and patrons. Your names will run across the bottom of the screen at the end of the video. So we've already talked about using shaders and procedural materials in order to give our objects their color, texture, etc. But there are occasions when that just won't do the trick, and so we will need to texture our objects manually. And the first thing we need to do in order to do that is to unwrap our objects. Now we've actually got a really simple geometric shape here. We've got basically three cylinders that we've shaped. But that's not always going to be the case. There are going to be objects that you do, such as biological, humans, animals, plants, whatever, or even really complicated furniture and things like that, that is going to be a little bit more difficult to do. So the first practice that you're going to need to get used to is actually tidying up your mesh. And again, it's very difficult to demonstrate that with this particular object simply because it's really simple. But all of the steps that we've used in the previous videos to actually create these objects, you need to use those tools to go around, move any vertices that might be in the wrong place. If there are, vertices where there don't need to be vertices, obviously remove those as well. And just basically make it so that creating a texture is going to be easy. And this is really the final pass of actually the geometry for the object, because you don't want to paint a texture and then have to go back and mess around with the geometry again, because that's going to put you in this almost eternal loop of fixing geometry, repainting texture, finding out something's wrong, having to go back, refix the geometry, and then repaint the texture over and over again. So now is really the final chance, the final time to get on and get that geometry sorted. And once you've achieved that, the next step is to obviously unwrap your geometry. Now you could, if your object were symmetrical on both sides, you could actually delete half of the object, half of the faces of the object in order to unwrap. But because our wine bottle is going to be different all the way around, you're going to have a label on one side, but the label isn't going to be symmetrical on either side. So realistically, we can't actually do that with this particular object. But the cork, for example, we could do it with the cork, we could do it with the placemat. So making sure that we're in object mode, what we're going to do is we're going to select our wine bottle, and we're going to go to object, and we're going to go to shade smooth, and then that'll give us a much better look of how our wine bottle is actually looking. And you can see that looks pretty damn good to me. Looks pretty good. And so what we want to do is we're actually going to go into the UV editing tab, and you can see that there's already something in there. We've got our entire object selected. We make sure that we're not in X-ray mode, so we didn't get what we wanted. Let's try that again. There you go. Now we've got the whole thing. So if we press U, we can actually hit unwrap there, and we can do it manually. But now you can see in our UV editor we actually have all of the bottle laid out in front of us ready to be textured, and it does look a bit weird, I'm not gonna lie. It's very difficult because the object is one cylinder. This part here is where the bottom of the bottle actually lies, and then up the top here it's going to stretch that texture out. So when we're creating our textures, we need to bear in mind that whatever we paint at the top here is going to be very stretched in order to match it with the actual bottle itself. But that is not a problem, because anything that we do that's going to be strange, such as the label, is going to sit around the neck, which, as you can see, is all one width. So there's no curvature inside that area. And then the label around the midriff of the bottle is also flat. So we can paint there without worrying too much about that. So that's a really simple step, guys. In the next video we're going to expand on this further. I hope you found that useful. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I will see you in the next video. Until then though, take good care of yourselves, guys. Bye bye.